Mike Ryan's Time Traveler's Guide for Criminology 400.
The body of 34-year-old Nicole Brown Simpson, ex-wife of O.J. Simpson, was found after midnight on the sidewalk outside her West Los Angeles home.
You will be going back to when the trial of the century was coming to a close. You'll be working for the Los Angeles Times, and your goal will be to provide coverage on themes of the O.J. trial that the media overly neglected. Dangers for this assignment are slight, but when you are interviewing the public on the street, be sure to take great care, as the LA streets will be crowded with people. As well, your editorials for the LA Times will be covering sensitive topics, so be sure to be considerate in your coverage. It's the 22nd century, and police brutality and racism is no longer a social or political concern. But it wasn't such a peaceful road to equality. Your first day will be the O.J. verdict on October 3rd, 1995.
Robertson.
Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder.
We'll go to the streets of LA while they announce O.J.'s acquittal and interview the public on their feelings and reactions. You will likely notice how the African American community was dead certain on his innocence.
Simpson not guilty of the crime. Penal Code Section 187.
While Caucasians were more adamant on his guilt.
And I am ashamed to be an American right now because the guy is so guilty, it's disgusting. And that jury should be ashamed of themselves for that verdict that they brought in. That's all I have to say.
I thought they were going to find him guilty.
At least that was how the media portrayed it, but was it really that simple? Before heading to a very primitive computer to write articles, you will be interviewing the major figures in the trial. O.J. Simpson, at one time, was an American football star, a gifted running back for the Buffalo Bills.
I think people have completely overlooked the fact now that he was clearly the best running back of the 70s.
But on June 13th, 1994, long after retiring from his impressive football career, Simpson's ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend, waiter and model Ron Goldman, were found dead outside Nicole's home. O.J. Simpson was the only suspect for the murder. On October 11th, 1995, Johnny Cochran will be visiting your office at the LA Times for an interview. Johnny Cochran was one of the lawyers on O.J. Simpson's dream team, a team of the best lawyers money could buy. He'd made a career of helping African American victims of police brutality and racism. He defended Black Panther, Geronimo Pratt, and Leonard Detweiler. He represented other high-profile cases, notably Michael Jackson. He became known for his brilliant courtroom manner, especially his turns of phrase.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
You will be interviewing Marcia Clark on October 12th, 1995. This interview will be televised for CBS Los Angeles. Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutor for the O.J. Simpson trial, was a strong and assertive woman. She juggled the long hours this trial required, as well as being a single mother. She has been described as a paradigmatic lifer, meaning she would always be a civil servant and never considered being a defense attorney. One of her most famous cases, aside from the O.J. trial, was the trial of Robert John Bardot, who was tried for killing actress Rebecca Schaeffer. Marcia clearly had an interest for bringing justice for women who were victims of male abuse. Now that you have gained some primary perspective on the O.J. case, you are ready to write your first article on the exploitation and celebrity infatuation that occurred during this trial. Faye Resnick was a close friend of Nicole Brown Simpson's. She wrote an exploitative book about Nicole's life after her death. Faye was a guest star on numerous talk shows. The public and media clearly ate up her Hollywood gossip.
Did O.J. watch Nicole from the bushes? Faye told us he did.
We used to check the bushes all the time to see if O.J. was out there.
After O.J.'s acquittal, O.J. had an interest in repairing his tarnished reputation and often made remarks that his late ex-wife wanted him back and that it was not the other way around.
That they tried to promote that I was pursuing her when everyone will tell you it was just the opposite of that.
In Los Angeles in 1992, only 2 years before Brown, Simpson, and Goldman's murder, riots broke out after 4 officers who brutally beat Rodney King were acquitted of all charges. This made African American communities feel unprotected and made police brutality go completely unpunished. As a result, some of the worst riots in history broke out. In your coverage, you should discuss the racial turmoil in many communities to shed light on how they felt and the threats that they faced.
The time has come here in Los Angeles and in America that indeed there must be a level playing field for everybody.
O.J. Simpson had a history of domestic violence. Nicole Brown Simpson made several phone calls to police stating that O.J. was out of control. In 1989, a lawsuit against him was filed for domestic violence and he pled no contest. Domestic violence is an issue that has largely been undiscussed. Throughout history, victims have refused to report it to police as they believe they will be reluctant to help. Only about 10 years before O.J.'s domestic violence suit was filed, police forces believed spousal abuse was a personal burden and law enforcement had no business or interest intervening. Your coverage should shed light on the trial's themes of domestic violence and how the system must change to recognize law enforcement's failure to help victims like Nicole Brown Simpson.
What did you ladies think?
They changed the whole tone of the trial from a murder trial to a racial trial.
We don't know anybody, any woman who hasn't suffered some sort of abuse, physical abuse from a man, whether it's a husband or whatever. And it's just saying that's still not important. I mean, it was so obvious.
The O.J. trial caused some question as to whether the American justice system was in fact adequate. People questioned the behavior of American police at this time. They were known to engage in racial profiling and police brutality. Marcia and co-prosecutor Chris Darden were by some writers suggested to be too arrogant and clearly not effective in proving his guilt. There was also question as to whether the American justice system was impartial to celebrity suspects. Would O.J. have been acquitted without his football star past? Judge Lancino made it a point of having his courtroom filmed through the entirety of the trial, and a conversation was had as to whether the media's round-the-clock coverage had an influence on audiences' perception of crime and criminal justice. Marcia Clark received harsh criticism on everything, from her hair, her clothes, 2 divorces, and her responsibilities as a single mother.
I can't be here.
She found herself under scrutiny for everything. Even the short skirt she wore during the tour of the Simpson estate.
In contrast to Johnny Cochran, little attention was paid to his ex-wife's allegations that he physically abused her. The rest of the media's coverage of him was about his professional successes. Many headlines were published about Marcia and her hairstyles, clothes, and even tabloids that creeped into her private life. The Enquirer published a headline, "O.J. Prosecutor's Tragic Secret Life." Clark said in her 1997 novel Without a Doubt, mock jurors called her personality hard and bitchy. None of the male attorneys or law enforcement had to deal with this kind of criticism.
Even the real Judge Ito couldn't help making a wisecrack.
People represented by Miss Clark, Mr. Darden.
This hairstyle, when she straightened her curly hair, got better reviews.
It's short, it's sassy, it's sophisticated.
You'll return home from your stay in 1995 Los Angeles on November 30th, 1995, meaning you must complete the interviews and publish each article in about 8 weeks' time. Bring attention to the communities who felt second class and unprotected. Talk about the issues of domestic violence and how it was overly ignored. Discuss how the media and the American justice system should be individual entities, and shed light on the sexism Marcia Clark, the only woman in this trial, dealt with. Good luck on your stay in 1995.